When Tirso told me to go watch the show, I was like, meh, I didn't really want to watch it. But eventually, I found the time, I sat down, and I ended up watching it all night. Where was this show all my life? Now, I actually have a script here because I don't want to lose track of what I'm trying to say. So I was very careful with typing this out, and I just wanted to make sure that everything that I'm saying is correct and true to my experience, and that's why I have this phone with me. Heartstopper is probably a show that everybody should watch. It's a wholesome story about these two boys, Nick and Charlie, who began as friends but soon find out that what they have might be more than just a friendship. And one of the major reasons why I love this show is the normalization and the support for queer love and queer teen life. I mean, it's not just about two young boys finding love, but it's about a whole variety of different friendships and love. We've got Tara and Darcy, we've got Taosu and Elle, and we've also got Ben and himself, you know? And I think over the past few years, we've seen more and more representation in different media, but there's just something about Heartstopper that gets it. Now, I want to explore the different themes explored in each episode and talk about my experiences with those themes. So let's start with a very obvious one, the very first episode. You know, like Charlie, I actually knew that I was different at such a young age. I remember the first time I felt that I was different when I took my mom's makeup and I hid and I put on lipstick. Now at that point in my life, my mom was doing it, my sister was doing it, so I thought everyone did it. So I just took it and then did it myself. And I remember I got confronted for it. I was told, "Na, sige, mahimo kag bakla ana." To which I replied, "Wala namang masama sa pagiging bakla." How little me had such wisdom. Since then, I knew my life wasn't going to be easy because for the majority of my life, I would have to constantly fight against all the times someone would use the word gay or bakla in a negative light. This is what you call microaggressions. In an NPR interview with psychology professor Kevin Adal, he defined microaggressions as the everyday, subtle, intentional, and oftentimes unintentional interactions or behaviors that communicate some sort of bias towards historically marginalized groups. Examples of these are saying something is gay, or maybe saying to a person na hindi siya halata. I'm sure you guys have heard it a lot in the Philippines. Gwapo kay ka, masking itom ka. Now, you might think these are all just harmless interactions, but the thing is, it isn't. You're communicating that somehow the color of their skin or their sexuality is bad, and hey, don't worry about it because you are the exception. You don't fit the others. And at that point in my life, I hadn't even figured out what it meant to be gay. I just knew that I was different from everyone else, and I guess I relate to Nick a little more in this department because I hadn't quite figured it out what made me so different. You know, I first truly knew I wasn't straight when I made a friend in grade school, and there was just something about that person that was captivating. You know, I don't want to name names or mention anyone in this video because they might be watching, and if you are watching, yes, I totally had a crush on you. There. I just wanted to hang out with this person a lot. I remember we would play video games and I would always lose, but I would, like let it slide because I liked this person a lot. He even slept at my house a couple of times. I remember getting so nervous sleeping next to them. Sadly, I was getting a hunch that he did not see me the same. It would be a long, long time till I started acknowledging these feelings that I have. When I first saw Nick look up "Am I gay?" quiz on Google, I laughed so much. I was thinking, oh my god, why are you letting a quiz dictate your sexuality? And then I realized that I did that too. Oh no, yes, I did that too. I mean, which queer person hasn't gone through that phase? Searching on Google, am I gay? Am I blank? Am I whatever? It was so scary to me when I took every quiz under the sun, and every result that I would get would say that I was. All my life up to this point, I kept hearing from so many people that being gay was something that you should never be. And my question is, why? What have gay people done that we've become this bad thing, you know? At the end of the day, we're all just people, right? People who are trying to live. Gosh, ever since I was young, I always felt like I wasn't my full self. I felt like I was going to be judged by people if they found out who I was. I was very afraid that some of them would stop being friends with me because they didn't like who I am. So I just kind of didn't talk about it, especially during high school. I went to a Christian school and I remember being told that being queer was a sin, that I should repent, and it was a choice that I could just unchoose. I even attended a talk with an ex-gay person, and he talked about how the power of God made him straight again, you know? At first I believed them, but no matter how many times I tried, no matter how many church activities I went to, no matter what I did, the more I knew that it wasn't just as simple as a choice. My younger self felt that it was best if I did not explore these feelings that I had towards any sex. So, sorry I never had this teen love story like in Heartstopper. I just wanted to hide who I was and what I felt so that I would not be judged. How did you come out to your friends? You know, it was my 16th birthday, and at that point, I had taken all the BuzzFeed quizzes, I had asked the Magic 8 Ball countless of times, and reflected on who I really was, and finally, I was ready to come out. To my friends, of course, because heaven forbid that my family knew. So I went to the most popular social media platform at that time, Tumblr, and I looked up how to come out. And I saw somebody post about how you should come out with a cake, you know? You write it down on a cake. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put it on my cake. So this was going to be my coming of age story, you know. I would start with a box of my favorite flavor of cake ever, which was chocolate moist cake. And so on the day of my birthday, I went to the local cake store and I had brought with me a piece of paper, the message that I wanted written down on the cake. It said, "Happy birthday, Andrew. P.S. I'm blank." Now, I was so excited that my friends were going to be the first people to find out about me, but in hindsight, it was probably the people on the cake store that I first came out to, not my friends. Because, you know, they had to read the message from me. And so, you know, it's kind of awkward, you know? You came out to a total stranger and not your friends. But it happened. And that was how I came out to my friends. This episode... Whew! This episode was one of the episodes that made me cry so hard. So in this episode, Tara comes out and people start making all these comments saying all these things to her that to them might not hurt, but to Tara, it really did. I remember after opening that box and essentially coming out, I don't know, maybe it was just my brain or what, but definitely I felt like some people felt a hint of disgust. But just like Tara, I also had friends who were very supportive, and that made things so much easier. The reason why this episode made me cry was because just like in the episode, when somebody comes out, it's true that people do start to treat you differently. Whether they do it consciously or not, you know, they do. For me, one of the common things that people do is share with me about religion, especially after they find out about me. Even though I was very active in church, I am aware of the lessons that the church has taught me. It kind of feels like they're sharing because of, you know, How people treated Tara that episode resonated with me in my experience, and I'm pretty sure it's an experience a lot of other people can relate to. Have you ever been called the F word before? I have. The first time was actually captured in my very first vlog on YouTube. The second time was the weekend in front of my school here in the Philippines, and a bully who should not have been driving a motorcycle because, he was underage, drove by me in his motorcycle and he shouted out in the middle of the street the F word. How did I react? Both of the times, I just didn't do anything. I honestly stood there in shock. These people have learned to weaponize words, and it hurts. Honestly, this is why I don't use those words. People are saying, "Oh, you should reclaim the term," but I'm like, "No, I don't want to use it because someone else might hear it and feel the same way I felt." When Nick came out to his mom, I was reminded of how I came out to my mom. It was my graduation dinner, and at that point, Tirso and I were already going steady. It was finally time for him to meet my parents. So one day, while my mom picked me up from school, going home, we sat in the car, and I remember it was raining and there was traffic, and so to break the silence, I just went, "Hey Ma, do you mind if I bring somebody to the graduation dinner?" And she was like, who is it?" And I replied with, "It's Tirso." She knew who Tirso was, but she did not know that me and him were going out. So she was silent for a few minutes, and then she asked me, "Is he your boyfriend?" And I just said yes. Then we started crying. It was like I did not have to hide anymore. I never felt so liberated after how many years of just keeping this to myself. I was finally out to the people who mattered, my friends, my family, and now I'm fully out to you guys. So yes, I'm queer. Before I end, this finding in a thesis on LGBTQIA plus media representation by Carson Cook says something that I strongly feel about Heartstopper. They say that aside from giving the general public a more positive view on the people of the community, LGBTQIA plus representation in media has helped many people realize who they are and find comfort in that fact. People are so lucky that shows today feature queer characters in a more normalized context. When I was growing up, I never knew anyone else who felt like me. I've never seen anyone on TV or the media I consumed who had remotely the same experiences as me. So I really felt like I was alone, I guess in a sense, I'm kind of jealous of everyone now because they can process these feelings that they have through shows like these while I had to do everything by myself. But my only hope is that shows like these continue to come out so that maybe one day I, as well as other people, can openly express who they love without fear of being shamed for it. So, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this little talk. And if you guys want more of these, I could do more of these, just sitting down, chatting with you guys. Although it is a little bit scripted because I didn't want to make a mistake. I am very nervous about this video, so I wanted to write it down, and that's why it looks like I'm reading. But normally I don't do that. It's just right now, I just wanted to make sure all the words that come out of my mouth are exactly my thoughts, and I don't mess it up. So there's that. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I will see you on my next video. Bye!